Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Well. Welcome to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. My name's Mashal St. Patrick, here at one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. And with me as ever is my partner in crime, Santoki Nagulendran. Santoki, we're done out here. God.
The streak is over.
We're done out here, bro. Hold on, before you start, Santoki, I was looking for a song that summed up this whole thing, and this is one I've got. I can't play more than 6 seconds of it. This is more so for all the Jamaicans. This was the song that sums up that performance today. That's all I've been doing, Santoki, listening to pure Capleton after that. I had to bust Capleton and some Sizzler after that match and just chill off because I don't know what to say, Santoki. The thing is, before we properly dissect it and get into it, let's be honest. You and I have been saying from back in 99.94 days, when we were doing those shows, you and I were saying we're not going to qualify automatically for the World Cup. And we were saying, this is 1 year ago, I can dig out the episodes for people. You and I said, if we go to the World Cup qualifiers, we are going to find it very, very difficult to get out of them. We were the same people who said prior to the T20 World Cup, we are going to struggle to get out of that T20 World Cup group to get into the main stage. So as much as it hurts to see what happens, Stace and Toki, honestly, hand on heart, neither one of us can say it's a surprise.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, Mash. I don't think it's come as a complete shock. As fans of West Indies cricket, obviously it hurts. And it's one of those, Mash, where until it actually happens, like we've obviously talked about it in theory, us losing the World Cup qualifiers, but you feel it when it actually happens. So, I mean, at this point, our World Cup qualifying campaign is in crisis after the 35-run loss to Zimbabwe today. But Mash, you're completely right. We've been talking about how West Indies weren't a certainty. A lot of fans would have said before the tournament, Sri Lanka and West Indies are certainties to qualify from these qualifiers. We all said, listen, there's a big risk, the competitive nature of the qualifiers, the form of West Indies and ODI cricket dating back since 2015, 2014. It was all heading towards this moment. And this is it fair to say, Mash, this is a seismic moment for West Indian cricket?
The thing is, we have to put some respect on Zimbabwe's name, because as much as this isn't respectfully, this isn't a defeat to Scotland. And I say this respectfully to Scotland. It's not a defeat to the Netherlands. It's not a defeat to UAE, etc. Zimbabwe are a full member nation. Yes, their cricket structure has been damaged significantly since their heady days of the kind of like Andy Flower and them man, etc. Right? But at the end of the day, Zimbabwe are a full member nation. So I don't want people to look at this as some big upset. It's a full member versus a full member. And they've done us over, right? So it's, I think some people have tried to look at it like, this is like some big disgrace in West Indies cricket. Like, we've been losing to Zimbabwe before. This isn't anything particularly new. In the context of a World Cup, though, and the context of us knowing its effect, it felt like a must-win game. Well, yeah, I guess that's new in a sense.
I think what it is I think you're completely right there, Mash. It's a full member nation, so every respect to Zimbabwe. I think it's the nature of the loss. I read a match report which summed it up well. It said, before the match, West Indies were favourites. At the interval after Zimbabwe's innings, West Indies were favourites. Halfway through their own chase, West Indies were favourites. And still we managed to fumble. We snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. So I don't even think you have to put respect on Zimbabwe's name. We always said they're a good side. They're at home. They have the fans, vocal crowd, as we saw today. It's the nature of the loss, Mash. We had it in control for 3/4 of the game. We should have coasted to a win in the end. And in the end, it was a complete fumble when it mattered the most. I mean, it's one thing, you know, to sweep aside Nepal, USA, UAE. When it came down to it, this was a crunch game, and the players knew that. You could tell from the get-go they knew this was a serious game, and still we managed to fumble in a comical nature, which has sort of embodied West Indian cricket for the past few years.
I'm gonna put something in context here for people to understand, and for those of you in the live, share this, send it to your friends, and say get in on the live, and so on and so forth. For those of you who sent in the cuss out questions, we'll get to them, etc. But Santoki, I'm going to put something in context because I think for people who are watching this now and for people who watch this on the replay, please take in what I'm about to say. 2 years ago, we went to the 2021 T20 World Cup, and we got the band back together, and we said, one last go, you man. Chris Gale, Pollard, Bravo, Russell, etc. Right? Ravi Rampal. We said, one last go. We only won one game against Bangladesh, crashed out the tournament, right? Now, I remember, and Santoki, I'm sure you'll remember, before, when that squad was picked, there was cussing galore. People were like, nah, we need to pick younger players. Chris Gale's had his time. Dwayne Bravo's had his time. Ravi Rampal's had his time. Bring through the younger players. Okay. 1 year later, we went to the 2022 T20 World Cup with these younger players that everybody asked for. We didn't even make it out of the first round stage. Ireland clapped us up. Scotland clapped us up. We didn't even make it to the main stage. Fast forward the next year. Now, that kind of white ball generation, they're all gone. Pollard's gone. He's no longer captain. Everyone's gone. We're left with all of the players that people have been calling for to come into the team, right? And we look like we're not even going to make it to the ODI World Cup. At this point in time, Santoki, and this goes for all the people who are going to try blame it on Darren Sammy and this, that. Santoki, I thought everyone said that it was Phil Simmons' fault. So what is it now? What is it now, right? We got the coach has gone, captain has changed, and the same type of mentally weak performances have carried on. You said it, you hit the nail on the head, Santoki. When Nicholas Pooran fell, the score was 175 for 5 with about 16, 17 overs to go. They needed 95 runs with the last 5 wickets with Akil Hussain scheduled to come in at number 11, and they couldn't see that over the line. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. They've finished me, Santoki. They've finished me.
Listen, Michelle's ready to set fire to that West Indies shirt behind him, you know. It's over. Speechless. Listen, it's not often you hear Michelle speechless, you know. That deep sigh.
I'm done out here, bro.
The legacy of West Indian cricket. We tried, Michelle. It's come down to this. Not making the ODI World Cup. As we said, Mash, this is catastrophic West Indies cricket. And the thing is, obviously, it's not over. We're not officially eliminated. We're going on as if we've officially eliminated. But the odds are stacked against us. We've got Netherlands on Monday. We have to win that. Going to the Super 6 already at a disadvantage. Zimbabwe will have 2 more points. So it's out of our hands. At this point, we're underdogs to qualify for the ODI World Cup. And we just got to look forward and hope we can get past Netherlands on Monday, Mash, I think, at this point.
Yeah, we can't even look to the next stage. The reality is that we need to win all of our remaining games. So that's Netherlands to take the 2 points into the next stage. And then we have to beat Scotland, Oman, and Sri Lanka. And here's the thing, Santoki. When we get to Sri Lanka, I don't know what order those games are going to go in. Do you know what our only hope is? Is that by the time we play Sri Lanka, say Sri Lanka's the last game of the next 4. If Sri Lanka's the last one, our only hope is that they've already done enough to qualify and then they rest bare players. Because if we get to the Sri Lanka game and we have to win and that Hasaranga Dhoni is playing, we're finished out here. Hasaranga's taking 5 wickets against Rothman Powell against Hasaranga. I'm done now. I'm done out here, man. I'm done out here, bro. God. But the equation is simple. We have to win all our games now and then hope that net run rate effectively sees us through. So at least, do you know what? There is one shining light to that. At least they know that they can't afford to lose anymore. Do you see what I mean? It's now straight knockout cricket. You lose, we're going home.
Yeah, but you could argue they knew that before the game against Zimbabwe. Listen, Chemo Paul was doing the ears out to the. He's doing the Hulk Hogan. I can't hear you to the crowd, before the match even finished. It's just. I don't know, Mash. I think my experience of West Indian cricket would mean it wouldn't completely shock me if Netherlands got the win over us on Monday. Because don't forget, Netherlands posted 316 against Zimbabwe. That's the only match they've lost. They've won their other 2 matches. They're in good form. And we know when West Indies cricket, Mash, when our backs are against the wall, when we start to lose, it's a roll-on effect, So Monday, I'm very, very cautious, which is why I'm not even talking about equations for the Super Six. We just Monday's our World Cup final at the moment.
Oh my God, man. Oh my God, man.
Listen, this is why Carl Hooper was vexed, This is why he was cussing out. Imagine coming from the generation where you're winning World Cups, ODI World Cups, back to back in the 70s, 75, 79. These times it's all or nothing against the Netherlands,
Must-win game against the Netherlands. Just to keep our World Cup hopes alive.
Mash, this is what, Mash. This is hammers home the point you've been making, and I've said as well. This is our level. This has been as a tournament. This has been very competitive. We've got wins. We've exchanged losses. This is our level. Basically, I think it would be fanciful to think we could compete with the top 8 ODI nations in the world. So going to the World Cup's not going to do much. But this has highlighted, if anyone didn't want to believe it before, we are an associate nation, essentially, in terms of the quality of play. And it's been reflected in how competitive the games have been so far that we've taken part in. And this loss today to Zimbabwe essentially hammers home the fact that we're in the second tier when it comes to world cricket at the moment.
I actually think that these associate nations have had more competitive cricket leading up into this than we have, in so much as a lot of these teams are in this, what's it called? Is it called like the World League 2 or something like that? Yeah. I can't remember what they call it, right? And those games for them are all, how like we play pointless bilateral series. And yes, everyone can say World Super League, but we play a lot of pointless bilateral series, whereas those guys are always playing these competitive do or die matches in that World Super League 2 or whatever it's called. And we've come into a do or die competition and we just don't have the cojones for it yet. But you know what? Before we continue, let's play what Darren Sammy had to say.
Really disappointed, at the toss, we eventually got to do what we wanted to do, which was to bowl first. And look, if we continue to display this type of fielding, we've spoken about it for the last few games. You keep giving the opposition's best batters chances. Eventually, the cricket gods will catch up with you, and it did with us today. But with that said, 269 on that surface. Again, these are the things we're trying to change. We've seen it happen in the times past before. And the direction that I want this team to move forward today was really poor. It's about taking responsibility, and we didn't do that today, and hence we didn't deserve to win at all today. I wouldn't say it hampers, but it makes it more difficult. You would love to go into the Super Six with 4 points. We knew from the time we left home that game would have been very important to us. And again, like I said, the way we've played, I keep telling the guys we kept on winning games by not playing our best cricket. And today, again, we ask so much of ourselves. When you put on a display of fielding like this, and then you get yourself in good positions and take the game for granted, the cricket gods will make you pay, and that's exactly what I'm going to tell them in the dressing room. We did not deserve to win. We did not play to win today, and now we have a lot of work to do. Firstly to get to the Super Six, and then take on the other teams that we face, and we've made our road to the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023 a bit more difficult. But You know me, I don't give up on anything. I'll keep on encouraging the boys and challenging them to, be better. Because the train that I've started here is going to be moving. And I keep telling them that who wants a ticket, they're going to come and buy it at the ticket office. And at the moment, some of us are not buying that ticket for that train to move on. I think we lost the game today. Zimbabwe at home, the crowd, they feed off the energy. What I saw, a team who, stuck to the plans. And, I mean, we allowed them to, the positions we found ourselves with both ball and bat, to knock them over. We didn't. I keep telling them, when you throw a first punch, you don't let the opposition come back. And today, we kept Zimbabwe close by, and at the end of the day, they deserve to win. They kept their calm, they kept taking wickets. The chances we offered them, they kept taking it, and yeah, it was a good victory for them, but it's a big lesson for us. You can't play with the game of cricket and take it for granted. Look, something that's been affecting us in the past is being able to take 10 wickets in an ODI game. I could really commend my bowlers. The chances they kept on creating with the ball. Unfortunately, they've not been backed with their fielders. But in terms of bowling plans, the things we speak of, we go out and we execute it. When you have a guy like Alzari running in, creating chances, and not getting them, I don't know how much more I could ask from my bowlers. And today we saw Kyle Mayers, at the top getting some runs. Brendan King looked good. Roston Chase held the inning together for a bit, but again, it's what you are willing to do for a long period of time that will ensure the success of your team, and today we didn't do that. Well, look, we have to bin that game as quickly as possible because we got another one on Monday. I'm thinking about how I'm going to approach the guys in the dressing room. But look, there's no time to cry and think about it too much. We got to get our positive mindset or game face on to do it again on Monday. Monday becomes very important for us, and we look at the squad and the combinations, and we come up with the best one to go out and win our game. We will not take this victory as the end of the road. I have a strong feeling that this West Indies team will bounce back. Sometimes you just need a good wake-up call to make you understand and appreciate the opportunities we have here. Well, the two games we won, we lost the toss, and we batted first. But again, I think the key for us is to focus on the plans that we have. I think they are good plans. When we go out and we execute them, the cricket looks great. Ideally, you don't want to drop 4 or 5 catches in a match. When you bowl, today could have been so much different. You catch Reza on 3 or 1. You catch Irvin. We could have restricted them for under 200. But we are. When I took this job, I wanted to change a couple things. The mindset. That's slowly getting there, but mindset, preparation, performance, all these things have to come, on a consistent basis, and that's what we're trying to work on. We'll now have to look at personnel as well. So, the journey is not over; it's just continuing, and I have a strong belief that my guys come on the 9th. I have a strong feeling we're going to be there.
So Darren has a strong feeling that there's many twists and turns still to go. To be fair, he has to say that. But other than that, I don't think I've got no issue with anything that Darren Sammy said there. I think he's right to point out. And it's so easy, and it's the default in West Indies cricket that people rush to blame one person. So it's Kemo Paul's fault. for bowling that penultimate over. It's Kemo Paul's fault for the reverse sweep dunt shot. It's Rodman Powell's fault for getting no runs. It's Johnson Charles' fault for the dunt shot early up. It's Darren Sammy's fault because he's the coach. It's who else is there? It's whoever. Every West Indies defeat, people rush to blame one man, one captain, one coach, this person. At what point in people's lives will they turn around and see the string of defeats and realize it's bigger than any one person or one man, etc.? This is a wider generational issue, right? And in the context of this match, I think the only thing you can legitimately point to and say that was match defining was the 4 drop catches. Because Darren Sammy's right. You don't drop those catches, particularly against Raza, because it was Raza and Irvine who took the brunt. They dropped Raza 3 times, the best player in their team. Come on, man. One of them was Carty. I think, did Carty drop Irvine or Raza? But either way, it was the easy. I would have caught it. And I'm not a professional athlete, right? If you drop chances that easy, you're going to lose. And this is the phrase I always use, Santoki, to make people understand where West Indies cricket level, where our levels are at in ODI cricket. We are one of the weakest, if not the weakest, full member ODI sides, right? If we drop our levels by 5%, all of the weaker full member sides will beat us, and all of the top tier associate sides will beat us, right? If we drop our levels by anywhere between 1 to 5%, they will jump on that and defeat us. And I don't think the large majority of West Indies fans are realistic enough to understand that. And actually, I think the players have struggled to understand that they can't just turn up and phone a performance in anymore and beat an associate side or beat a weaker full member side. They have to play at the top of their game because we're weak ourselves, which is why, Santoki, we only beat full member sides when they drop by 5% and we play at our fullest potential. So I just don't think people are realistic about what this actually is.
Yeah, no. It's ironic, Mash, because we talked about pre-game about how we thought they would struggle to take wickets. They eventually bowled out Zimbabwe for 268. But as you said, it was the drop catches. That Casey Carty one, I think, particularly if you're on as a substitute fielder, the minimum you can do is hold on to a routine catch. And as you said, it was a routine catch off Joseph's bowling. And as you said, those, as Sammy said in the press conference, those catches changed the game because we could have, if Raza got out early, we could have bowled Zimbabwe out for potentially under 200. And obviously that changes the whole complexion of the match. As you said, it's down to sort of the discipline within the side, that fielding. And what is the worst thing about it is in the power play, the first 10 overs, the side did look disciplined in the field. They were saving a lot of shots. They did look very focused, but it's a mentality thing. They couldn't hold that over for the remaining 40 overs in the game. They sort of lost concentration. And as you kind of sort of suggested, Mash, I wonder if it was complacency, just the fact that, you know, we can ring in a performance and still win because we are the West Indies, because 4 or 5 catches, Mash, is unacceptable at international professional level. And it was match defining, especially when the margins were relatively small, 35 run win for Zimbabwe in the end. Those small catches are, rather than individual performances from certain players, it was the catches that lost the match for West Indies.
The obvious thing that other people do now coming out of this game is they'll say, you see, this is why this person should have played. This is why this person should have been picked for the squad. And my answer to all of that, so whether it's Athanaze, whether it's Kevin Sinclair, whether it's Shimron Hetmeyer, whether it's Evan Lewis, even if I just take the latter two, Hetmeyer and Lewis they were at the T20 to the 2022 T20 World Cup. Did we not lose to Ireland and Scotland? So there's no silver bullet out there. There's no one out there that you can bring into this team that will suddenly make a super difference to the mentality. Call a Shimon Hetmeyer. And what? Wasn't my man in the same ruck side that didn't get out of the first group in the T20 World Cup? And Evan Lewis. And there's no one. I don't want to hear anybody say, bring this man, bring that man. This whole generation is done out here. They're all done out here, man. None of them can change the mentality that is needed at top level. At the top level of international cricket. Psychologically, something is wrong with this lot when they come under serious pressure. Pressure bust pipe.
Oh my days.
Done out.
Michelle's finished though. Listen,
Done out here, man.
Michelle's vexed that microphone's getting punched up. I listen. This might be the most vexed I've ever seen Michelle on the show. You know, this is the iconic episode, but I can feel the stress, man. I can feel the stress because, as you said, it's simple things. If you're a professional athlete, imagine our jobs were just 9 to 5 training to play cricket, and you're dropping regulation catches like that on the bigger stages. They brought Casey Carty on literally to catch and field. He's a substitute fielder, and he dropped his one. He had one mission and he failed it. So as you said, you can't really. You can't blame one individual. It's a systematic issue, and it's something we've always tried to highlight. But Mash, we could do an hour of Vex cussing out West Indies, but I think let's try and dissect the match bit by bit. So Zimbabwe's first innings, 268 all out. I think let's talk about Chemo Pool, because obviously a lot of people have criticised, as you said, the penultimate over, that reverse sweep going for glory. Overall, what did you make of Chemo Pool's bowling in that first innings, to take 3 wickets in front of a crowd which were shouting Chemo the cheater for most of the match?
So I got into a debate early in the game with a couple people about whether Romario Shepherd should be in the team instead of Chemo Pool. I actually think Chemo Pool's been fine this World Cup. The Dunt shot notwithstanding. I mean, we have to remember that you and we questioned how Chemo Pool even got into the World Cup squad in the first place. So it's not like I'm a big defender of Chemo Pool. I don't think he should have been there. I don't think he had done... I don't know what the criteria was that just suddenly he magicked his way into the World Cup squad. That said, I've always said that a fit and firing Chemo Pool offers a skill set that not many West Indian bowlers have, which is I think he's got more variations than the average West Indian bowler, whether that's cutters into the pitch, whether that's a disguised slower ball, whether that's a surprise bouncer. I haven't seen it in this World Cup, but he's got a Yorker in there. So I think a Chemo Pool who's on top of his game. Yeah, I get it. So, I mean, and at the end of the day, people say, oh, he went for 61 runs because he leaked those, 16 runs in the penultimate over or whatever. But at the end of the day, he took 3 wickets. You won. He was a top wicket taker in the side. You won. We said that the bowling would be the weakest suit, and thus far in this tournament, he's taken 5 wickets in the 3 games. So my thing is, isn't he doing his job? So I don't. Go on.
I agree. I think Chemo Pool done a fantastic job with the ball, got the 3 wickets. I think there was one moment which didn't change the tide of the game, but was telling for me. It was in the penultimate over. It wasn't the runs he gave away. I think it was the second or third ball. The ball came back to him. The Zimbabwe batsman ran a single. Chemo Pool was jogging after it, and he sort of let the ball just roll past him. And in that time, they ran a second. And Darren Sammy was cussing on the balcony. Jason Holder was screaming at Chemo Pool because he essentially gave away a single. The single doesn't matter in the context of the game, but what it did was it galvanized the crowd. After that, the crowd got pumped for the rest of the over and the final over. And also, for me, it showed to the Zimbabwe players that, hold on, these men they're not on fire at the moment. They're not sharp. They're letting the game slip by. So for me, that was a telling point because they showed that Ian Bishop was cussing out. Everyone was cussing out. For me, that sort of encapsulated West Indies' performances. It was very complacent. And it's not to blame Chemo Pool, but I do think that had a massive psychological impact on the Zimbabwe players. They were like, hold on, these guys are basically giving away a single to us by jogging. They can't even bother to run after the ball. And that pumped up the crowd and that pumped up the players coming into the second half. So whilst there were positives to Chemo Pool, I do think that penultimate over was not only the runs, because it did give extra runs, but that is what it is. But just that the nature of that sort of performance he gave in that penultimate over said a lot to me about not only him, but the team in itself.
And I agree with that. And I agree with it pumping up the Zim crowd and the players. But Santolki, by the end of the power play when we were batting, we were still 55 for 2. At the end of Zim's power play, they were 30 for 1, or no, 30 for none, or 31 for none. We were ahead of the game. In fact, we were well ahead of the game. When Hope fell, I think we were. What's the score when Hope fell? When Mayers fell. When Mayers fell, we were 110 for 3 after 20 overs. Santolki, we only needed another 150 runs at that stage. When Hope fell, it was 134 for 4 after 23 overs. Sensible batting sees you home from there. So I get it. Don't get me wrong, but up until I think when the key wicket for me was when Rovman Powell fell. Because at that point, I think that's when Zim said, we're going to win this one. These guys are mentally weak out here. Pooran got a teeth out. Pooran wasn't out. That was sliding down the leg side, right? But at that point, when Pooran was out, it was 175 for 5. Only 90 runs were needed at that stage. Powell fell literally a couple balls later. That's when I think the game changed. And that's when I thought they were like, you know what? West Indies, they don't have the heart for this. We're gonna get them out of here.
I think you're right. I think it wasn't the bowling performance which let us down, because 268, no matter, even if you gave away late runs, 268 generally you'd expect to score that, particularly with the nature of scores we've seen so far in this tournament. So West Indies it was below par essentially. West Indies would have been expected to chase that, and based, as you said, the first 20 overs, it definitely was a below par score because West Indies were batting well ahead of the pace. They looked comfortable, but as you said, Mash, they lost their heads, and I think Rovman Powell in this tournament so far, he hasn't been able. Obviously, last game he only came on for a few balls. First game, first ball duck, was it, or he got a duck? He hasn't been able to play the situation. He's come out and thought, "I'm Rovman Powell. I'm going to go from the get-go." Here, all he needed to do was play the situation, and he's played.
Just rotate. Just bat like you're an actual. What is Rovman Powell picked to do in the side? He's not bowled yet in the tournament. So are you not picked to be a batter? And you can't rotate straight. I'm gonna cuss, Santoki. I'm gonna cuss.
This is the thing, though. I don't understand because it's not even. Rovman Powell's played first-class cricket. He's played a lot of 50-over cricket. He knows what you need to do. We saw in the Super 50 last year, he rotated strike well, which is how they managed to win the title. So for him to come out and just come out swinging and last a total of in the first game, and now he lasted a total of 3 balls combined. As you said, he doesn't bowl. For a senior player, I just don't understand what's going on there, Mash, and that just encapsulates what you said. It's not any players, because young players are doing it, old players are doing it, everyone's doing it, everyone's lost their head. You got Darren Sammy even saying he's still confident they're going to be in the final on 9th of July. Even Darren Sammy's lost his head. I don't know what's going on at the moment.
Do you know who's having a good World Cup? Shimron Hetmyer. He's having the best World Cup. Anybody who's not in the World Cup right now is having an amazing World Cup, because you see when India come in July for that ODI series, everyone's going to call for Hetmyer. Everyone's going to call for Evan Lewis. They're all going to call for Alec Afanase. They're all going to call for Kevin Sinclair, and they're all going to say that's what's going to make the difference. And then we're going to take some more licks as well. So,
but you know what? This is what the thing is about West India. A lot of West Indian fans, which cracks me up, is obviously Afanase is a talented player. You got fans saying he should have been in this World Cup side. You ask them why, based on the performance against UAE. But these are the same fans who are saying the matches against UAE don't even count because it was only UAE that we beat. So which way are you going? So I agree, Mash. I mean, if we manage to get through to the World Cup qualifiers, then I think it's all good. If we don't, which looks likely at this point, as you said, the stock value of a Lewis, a Hetmyer, Shafane Rutherford, people will be throwing that name out for sure. Alec Afanase, there'll be demands for wholesale changes to the team. The problem is we don't have enough talent in the region at the moment at this level to make wholesale changes to the teams. And I don't think it'd be effective, the changes you do make. So it's going to be interesting. But as you said, Mash, I don't think it's not something you can solve. I mean, a lot of people are saying Shamar Brook should come in. Again, he might be able to shore up the batting. At the same time, he might go for a duck as well. So there's no one short-term solution for this problem. It's a deeper onset problem, which has to have long-term fixing.
Looking ahead to the next game, not in terms of who would you pick per se, but I'm just thinking about a couple of thinking about this game and a couple of the kind of individual performances. Can Johnson Charles keep his place? Because Johnson Charles came out. So, and before anyone says it in the chat, yeah, I know we got 66 in the first game, although we should have got out early for that 66. Second game, we got a duck. I think was it a first ball duck, second ball duck? Today, Santoki, Johnson Charles came out and played a big shot inside the first 2 balls, right? And I tweeted after that big shot, he got completely beaten. It nearly took out his leg stump. He was nowhere near the ball. He's lucky it wasn't even LBW as well, in fact, right? And I tweeted something to the effect of, why has Johnson Charles come out after 2 balls and he's playing that dunce and bossy shot? 3 balls later, man was out. Now, Santoki, if I am sitting in a room in London and I can see that the man's mindset is all wrong, given the situation, how is he in the actual match and he can't see that might not be the way to play at that specific moment in time? How are you going for big wild shot after 2 balls, Santoki? So should Charles hold a drop for Brooks in the next game?
Yeah, I mean, it would either have to be Charles or Rovman, but you go for Charles because of his relative inexperience in recent ODI cricket. So I think you have to, if Brooks is well enough, you add Brooks in, because at this point, we just need batters who can shore up some runs, who can bat patiently, and Brooks sort of fits that role. So I would bring Brooks in definitely for Charles. It wouldn't surprise me if they drop Rovman for Brooks. I see, but either one of those I can see going for Brooks. And I think, Mash, I think it sort of highlights the unstable nature of our ODI cricket, the fact that Johnson Charles even made it to the 11, because if you said even a month ago Johnson Charles was going to be playing in these qualifiers, people would be like, what are you talking about? Because he'd been out in the ODI wilderness for years. I think it was 7 years he hadn't played in ODI. Good performances against UAE, then Shamar Brooks getting ill means he makes it into the side. And that just sort of shows the lack of depth we have in talent or established players to come into the ODI side, the fact that we are playing Johnson Charles. So, yeah, I would definitely bring Shamar Brooks in next. For Johnson Charles, I think would be the most logical decision. But again, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if Rovman got the drop and they put Shamar Brooks in for him. But we'll have to see, Mash, because I can also see, as we've argued, they might go with consistency as well. You know, it's just stick with these 11, regardless of the loss to Zimbabwe. Stick with the 11 for consistency.
The other player to consider who might have to hold a drop, obviously we said Charles. If Powell holds a drop, because I think everyone's looking at this the wrong way. Everyone's saying that it's Chemo Paul or Romario Shepherd. Maybe it's Romario Shepherd or Rovman Powell. And I know that sounds a bit crazy, right? But if Rovman Powell is only going to play in the team to be a cow lasher at the back end of the innings and he's not going to rotate strike, then you might as well ask Romario Shepherd to do that as well then. And at least with Romario Shepherd, if you're looking for, I don't know, an extra wicket taker, you can say to my man, you know what, come bowl a couple overs, because True say you can actually bowl as well. So there may be an argument that Romario Shepherd comes in for Rovman Powell. I know Rovman's vice captain, but there may be an argument that that's how Romario comes in the team.
Yeah, I think Rovman being vice captain doesn't even mean much, because some may say it's strange to drop your vice captain, but I don't see any major issue. But as you said, Mash, if they're doing the same finisher role, but then Romario has the bonus of you could call him up for 2-3 overs of pace to try and take some wickets, they could go with Shepherd as well. So I agree. I think it is a case of, I don't think Chemo Paul's going to be holding a drop next game after today's performance. So I think it is between Shepherd or Rovman. But I just feel because Rovman is the vice captain, they probably symbolically wouldn't want to drop him as well. So that could be a reason why he stays in the side. But logically, if you were comparing their skill sets, then yeah, Romario Shepherd technically offers more because he can use the ball as well.
Listen, let's head to... Oh, by the way, so I've only just looked. Big up everybody in the live. I think this might be a record. 200. And you see, that's how you know everyone's upset, Santoki. You see, when you see those big numbers, that's when you know West Indies have let everyone down again. 219 of you currently in the live. If you haven't done so yet, please press the like button, share the video, subscribe to Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You can see the ticker tape at the bottom where our handles are, at Caribbean Cricket, Twitter, Instagram. www.caribbeancricketpodcast.com is the website, although I just realized I need to update that. Let's try get to 5K by the end of this video, people. Last I checked, we're on 4,715, maybe. So press that subscribe button as well, people. Like up the video, etc. Thing is, Santoki, I've already seen us 1 L today. I got a next L to watch later on when Reggae Boys play United States. You know, a double L coming for me in 24 hours.
3 a.m. kickoff, you know. Michelle's going to be sitting up 4 a.m. USA 4-0 up.
3 a.m. Reggae Boys L just to end off my whole 24 hours. But listen, let me go to the cuss outs that were sent in to us. Right. First one, Santoki. From Rising Bowler. Big up Rising Bowler. Rising Bowler says, are there any positives? Please give us something to rally around. Santoki, you try that one.
Well, I think the fact we managed to bowl Zimbabwe out is something we struggled with the wickets. Chemo Paul's performance, Jason Holder was really good in his discipline early on, I thought, but you expect that from Jason Holder. So I don't know if that's a massive, massive positive. You know, he comes with the goods. Alzari Joseph as well, very impressive. You know, kind of cemented his place once again as our main strike bowler. You know, if some catches had been held on, he would have had more in that wickets column as well. So I thought overall as well, I was impressed with Akil Hussain as well. Disciplined, got the wickets, had good line and length. So I think overall, considering how we had low expectations of the bowling attack, the fact that they sort of came good today, bowled Zimbabwe out for under par total, I think that's definitely a positive match to take from this innings, from this match.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. We have to, yeah, I think we have to remember that the bowling was actually on point. The catching was poor, but that doesn't mean the bowling was poor. I don't think anyone actually let us down with the ball today. Yeah, so that's the positive. And given that we thought the bowling was going to be the weakness in this tournament, I think we have to take that as a positive. And you would like to think that that will mean that we can either restrict the Netherlands to something chaseable, or more importantly, bowl the Netherlands out, or restrict the Netherlands if they're chasing whatever we have to chase in the next game. Next one. Sorry. Rissa91_07 says, when will the West Indies team realise that cricket is as much a mental battle as it is a physical one?
I think that's a long-term question, Mash. I don't know.
I don't
know if there's any definitive answer you can give to that one.
But I feel like we've been fighting this mental battle for 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
Like, is it a mental issue? Okay, so here's something that someone said to me earlier today. When West Indies were dropping catches and they looked like they'd, I don't know, got a bit complacent in the field and so on and so forth, one thing that was raised to me was, is that a fitness issue? Now, let me talk. I took the fitness to mean their ability to stay at high intensity for a long time. So not necessarily fitness in terms of the kind of traditional sense of thinking of fitness in terms of running around and this, that, but almost like a mental fitness that, come on, we need to maintain levels. How often do you see a West Indies performance where levels are high for the majority of the game? And I know I'm not talking Test cricket. Let's just talk white ball. How often do you see our shoulders slumping, or it looking like we're a bit lackadaisical in the field and we're looking a bit disinterested, or we've allowed the game to drift? I don't know if that's more mental. I don't know if that's more physical. Or, Santoki, is it just, and this is the elephant in the room that nobody ever really wants to address, is it actually just a lack of talent? Is it a talent issue? No one ever wants to admit or accept that maybe we're just not, maybe we don't actually have good players.
It's a tricky one, because if you take Carl Mayers, for instance, obviously I know he scored runs today, but people were calling for him to be dropped based on his performance in the last 2 games. But let's take IPL, for instance. Carl Mayers put on a run of about 8 games where he was scoring good and consistently against the world's best bowlers. And that's where he's in a setup where they have the organization and mental strength. So he just needs to fit in. So once again, Mash, like you said, I don't think necessarily it's down to individual failings. It's the collective system, the team sort of ethos. If the mentality isn't in the team, but players are performing for franchises around the world, for instance, or other sides, then you have to say it is a collective issue. And as you said, it's been going on for years and years. So maybe it's just something which has been institutionalized into West Indian cricket. I don't know how. But this mental issue isn't a recent topic. It's been going on for years and years. And it does seem to affect players who are successful elsewhere. But when they come into the West Indies setup, it sort of brings them down like an anchor. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how you sort of identify what the exact problems are and how you solve it. But I think at this point, Mash, you do have to say I'd probably say it's a mental. Obviously, we don't have the talent we did of the golden generation that you mentioned previously that had retired at the T20 World Cup in 2021. But there still is talent there. I just think overall it's more of a mentality thing holding the players back.
Sammy said something in that press conference where he said, I think the phrase he used was something like, we're on a journey and some of them aren't buying the ticket to be on the train, or something to that effect, right? I took that to mean he's already looking at the squad Because remember, he had no say in this squad. People have to remember that this squad was picked before Darren Sammy was even announced as the new head coach. So he had no say in who ended up in this World Cup squad. I took that to be a sly comment, Santoki, which suggested that, listen, whatever happens in these World Cup qualifiers, certain man can never play for West Indies again, or they're just not good enough, or he don't intend to be carrying them going forward. Or am I reading too much into that?
No, I took that as well. I took that as some people don't want to be on the train or haven't got their ticket. Just mean some people haven't been putting the effort in or don't show the fortitude that he sees long term to be in the West Indies side. It'd be interesting to know which players he's identified as having that. It could be, like a Romario Shepherd, which is why we haven't seen Romario Shepherd come into the 11, for instance. But you never know. It could be someone who's in the 11, but just the fact there's not enough available players to bring in means he's having to play them. So it was very interesting. Going forward, I think we will see changes after this because of the nature of how we've come through and lost to Zimbabwe. And, even if we sneak through to the World Cup, I'm sure Sammy will want to have his say and imprint on the squad going forward. So, I think that was a very honest thing for Sammy to say, and it revealed a lot about what's going on behind the scenes.
For real. Seam Ban says, great contest here in the RA. Maybe he sent this one in just straight after the game. I think the key moment was the Shea Hope wicket by Raza. It seems that after Hope left, no one could shepherd the innings. There were too many balls with not enough strike rotation. Yes and no. Because when Shea got out, I think I tweeted and said something like, Zimbabwe know that's the key wicket. And it is. Because we know that if Shea plays a long innings, West Indies will win, right? In that context. But to be fair, Roston Chase came in and he did the Shea Hope role. So I don't actually think Shea's wicket was important, but Roston Chase showed the level of maturity that was needed. I thought Roston was the only one after Shea and Nicholas, because Nicholas got a teeth out, who played to the game situation. There were just a bunch of other people around him who all people had to do was stick with Chase, and I think we would have got over the line. And I think there was too much head loss going on around Chase. So I don't think it was as simplistic as, right, Hope's out, now head loss central for everyone. Because remember, Chase came before Powell. When Hope got out, it was Chase who came to the crease with Pooran. And Pooran and Chase put on a 40-run partnership. Then Pooran got the teeth out. And then Powell just came and went. Holder gave one away. Paul played a dunce shot. And then who came next? Akil Hussain came in, and then Chase obviously then chopped on. So I don't know, Santoki. I don't think it was as simple as Hope out, game over.
No, it definitely wasn't, because like you said, Chase was there. Chase sort of dug in. Even Holder, he put together 19. He was there for 28 balls. So he kind of tried to start digging in. But as you said, Kimo, Paul, and Akil are saying, we know they can bat. We've seen what they can do at regional level. Even Akil is saying, for West Indies, we've seen what he can do with the bat. So they did bat like true tailenders. It was a shame to see, but I just think there was pandemonium in the changing rooms with all the wickets tumbling, and everyone just collectively lost their head, and no one could sort of put their hand up and say, look, I'll lead the side to victory and dig in once Chase lost his wicket as well. So, I don't think it was a simple moment as, Hope's gone, our captain's gone, we've all lost our heads. There were attempts, and we did see it with Chase to sort of dig in, but there just wasn't the support, and that links to sort of that collective mentality again, Mesh.
Enrique Krupe says, what exactly is Powell's role in this ODI team? How is he any more valuable than Carty or Shepherd with the bat? Or is he undroppable because he's vice captain? I think that's fair enough. Like I said earlier on, if Powell's not bowling, that means his role he hasn't bowled one ball in this competition. So if Powell isn't bowling, that means he has been picked as an out-and-out batter. He's batting at number 6 or 7, whatever, given the game situation, which means he's clearly being given the instruction to be to bat with freedom at the back end of the innings and obviously put on runs quickly. So that's his role, Santoki. I'll let you answer the second part. Is he more valuable than Carty or Shepherd?
I think in his current form in this tournament, I think overall you'd say he was, based on his performances, generally over a longer period. But at this moment in the tournament, what is he offering more than a Shepherd, for instance? Because Shepherd's an all-rounder, can bat and bowl. I would say no. Even Carty, if Powell's just there as a batter, do you give Carty a shot to come into the side and just and bank that he will put up more runs because Powell hasn't done anything so far with the bat? So for me, definitely, I think Shepherd has more value, and it'll be interesting to see what they do next game. But then the final question is also valid. I think the fact he's vice captain, does that make him harder to drop? I mean, the vice captain in cricket is an ambiguous role, but it still has status. So will they make that headline drop of dropping their vice captain before a crunch game? I don't think they will. But, you know, it wouldn't. I don't think it would harm the team necessarily to bring a Shepherd in.
Enrique has another one. Even if they win all their remaining games, how do you see them doing in the actual World Cup if they qualify? We answered this one in the last live. So I think Santoki and I pretty much agreed that at best, in a 10-team World Cup, let's just say, argument's sake, we get through. And it's one of Zimbabwe or Sri Lanka. I think we win 2 games, maybe 3 at the very best, Santoki.
Yeah, I think we beat whoever comes through this World Cup qualifier. So if it's Sri Lanka, we'll probably get the win over them. And then we always generally have a surprise victory. So at the last World Cup, it was against Pakistan, for instance, or something like that. Maybe in Pakistan or Bangladesh, we get a surprise victory. But we won't be able to have the consistency, especially since there's only 3 months away. Sammy can't dramatically change the team in that time frame. So I think as it stands, we don't have the consistency to win games at that high level. So I think it'll be 2 max.
CB Jamboy says, not very surprising, to be honest. I'm presuming means the defeat. How do you think we got here? And how do we rebuild moving forward in the short term, in terms of qualifying and competing in India, and in the long term?
To be honest, Mash, I think that's an episode in itself, if I'm honest. Where have we gone wrong? Because as you said, it's not a sudden downturn in ODIs. We've seen the signs coming since 2015. Been gradually getting worse. And as you said, the last World Cup qualifiers in 2018, we got through because of rain and an umpire teeth out against Scotland. So the signs have been there. So, I mean, just to kind of discuss how we got here is a long conversation. And again, how do we rebuild moving forward? Can we rebuild moving forward? Do we have the resources to even rebuild short term? I mean, long term, any side does, because you look at your academy and how you're developing players. But short term, what can we do? So I think probably after this tournament, regardless of whether we qualify or not, we'll probably drop an episode specifically on where have we gone wrong in ODI cricket and how, if it's possible, can we rebuild?
Yeah, Santoki's right. I don't think there's a quick answer that I could give to that question. One thing I would like to see, though, which we saw during the IPL, is I would like to see Cricket West Indies organise some A-team tours. And when I say A-team tours, I mean A-team tours to associate countries. So I'd like us to go to Scotland. Or play Scotland. I'd like us to play. Well, we already played Netherlands. And the lower tier sides as well. So I'd like an A side to go to Zim. I'd like an A side to go to Ireland, because really and truly, we are never going to change our approach to ODI cricket if we don't do it from a kind of, when I say grassroots, I mean the lower levels first, right? We're not going to suddenly just pick a new set of 11 players and they're suddenly going to be able to compete against India, England, Australia, Pakistan. 9 times out of 10, we're going to take licks no matter who we pick. So to change the mentality and see this kind of downtrend ever change, I think you have to try and build it up from below. Kind of like how a football team would overhaul their academy system and be like, right, we play with a certain philosophy from academy all the way up to senior side. Everyone's playing with this philosophy. So when academy boy comes through to the reserves or whatever, the main squad, he already knows what the philosophy is. And until I think we take that wider holistic approach, you're just rotating a bunch of players, aren't you? And we're stuck in the mud, just having the same conversations again and again and again.
Yeah, no, I think that's an excellent point, Mash.
Last couple, and for anybody who's, this is actually the last cuss out, because anyone who's like, Mash, why didn't you read mine out? I think when I looked at all the other cuss outs, every single one, in fairness, was a variation on the ones we've already read out. So that's why I didn't put any more up on those kind of themes. So not because I wanted to leave you out. So apologies if that's what you think I was doing. Thank you to the 240 of you that are in the live, by the way. Like I say, this might be a record. Please do like the video before you go or at this point in time as well. Really helps with the algorithms, etc. Share, subscribe, etc. Right, Christine gets the last one. West Indies fans are used to losing now. That's true. But surely we have a right to expect some basic standards to be met. For example, how are we supposed to accept Carty's drop and Chemo's shot?
I mean, we have a right to expect some basic standards to be met, but that doesn't mean that anything's going to be done to correct those basic standards. So I agree. I think considering it's an international cricket match, this isn't no club cricket that we're watching at a local park or anything. You'd have to expect basic standards, basic catching are met, but they haven't been, and they haven't been. It's been a while, where we've been messing up with catches and sort of these sort of issues. So again, it's a longer sort of term question in terms of what can be done to render this. Again, how do you change the culture of West Indies cricket from academy level to senior level so that these basic standards are met? It can be, as you sort of hinted at earlier, fitness standards. Is it to do with fitness? Our mental capacity to sort of be sharp across 50 overs? It could just be actual physical fitness as well. Do the team get tired as well? Do players get tired? So there's a lot of factors at play. But I think, as West Indies fans, I know we're always saying we cuss out for everything, but I think every fan has a right to cuss out when they see a Carty drop, regulation catches, or Chemo Paul trying to do a reverse sweep at the critical juncture in the match. So I think, fans do have a right to expect these standards to be met, but whether they will, that's another question to have.
Just finally, it wasn't a cuss out question, Santoki, but I do think we should just end here, right? We said on, I don't know, God knows how many videos ago, right? Maybe it was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Back when we had no white ball coach, in fact, I think this was about 6-7 months ago. And whenever Phil Simmons stood down, we said, whoever gets the job next is on a hiding to nothing, because their first engagement is going to be the World Cup qualifiers, and everyone is going to cuss when we struggle to get out of those World Cup qualifiers. I don't even know really what my question is to you, Santoki, but I just feel like that's come true. Exactly what we thought would happen. And we might still qualify, right? But when people were cussing, saying, how did Darren Sammy get the job? Why wasn't it Shiv? I remember you and I kept saying it don't really matter who gets the job, because the players ain't changing. It's still the same set of players. So what reasonably could any coach have added to this squad of players in such a short space of time beyond a 1% marginal gain here or there? So it's not me trying to launch a defense for Darren Sammy, but it is me trying to say, I guess, this is exactly what I was worried about when I knew we'd have a new coach coming into a pressurized situation with basically no time to change anything tangibly that could change the existing culture that surrounds our players.
Yeah, and I think that this is more of an issue for Cricket West Indies to sort of take on the head in terms of responsibility, because Phil Simmons announced he was stepping down before the Australia tour, so late November, early December. So you essentially had 6 months to plan for these World Cup qualifiers, but we went with Andre Kohli, to be the interim, which is fine because obviously it was a short-term role. But then you're not, as we always said, you weren't given whoever was going to take up the permanent white ball post. Had no games to plan for, had no games to experiment. I know they set up a UAE series, but again, UAE is not a full member nation. And so the South Africa series, for instance, would have been a great chance to have someone in place by then and have that gone through. But again, there were other factors at play. Cricket West Indies were having elections. There was all that to go through as well. So I just think, there could have been a lot better plan in the organisation to give Sammy more chance to work with the team against high-level opposition, because we see it in football, managers are given pre-season. They're usually hired pre-season to work on the team. You can't expect Guardiola to join the side in April and galvanize the team to win the Champions League. That's essentially what we're asking Sammy to do. No matter how good a coach you are, you have to have time to work with the players and implement your philosophy. And Sammy hasn't done that. But unfortunately for Sammy, he's still going to get a cuss out because his name is associated with this World Cup qualifying campaign.
And that final sentence is exactly it. He now is the next person to hold the cuss out without any time to really, for his sake, and for the players as well, as much as I was vexed at the start of the video, don't get this twisted, people. I still desperately hope the team somehow qualifies. And I still hope that we win. If we win our 4 games, we will qualify for the World Cup. I think that's clear, because net run rate, we would likely qualify for the World Cup if we win our 4 games. And that's all we can focus on. As Santoki said earlier on, Netherlands is now a must win. Every single game is now must win. And for Sammy's sake, for the players' sake, I hope they're able to reflect on what went down today, make the necessary, whether it's personnel changes or whether it's mindset changes. But I think the main thing, Santoki, is that people have to be willing to accept that Sammy, and Sammy could have been anybody else, is going to need time. This is an ODI structure that has overseen failure since 2015, right? We're 8 years deep into sucking as an ODI side. So any kind of change is going to have to overturn that what is coming up to almost like a decade of failure in ODI cricket. So I think people need to accept that, defeat or not, he's going to need time to implement whatever his philosophy and changes are going to be.
Last question from Sumit. Thank you for donating the $5. But what will Caribbean Cricket Podcast do during the actual World Cup? I'm guessing it means assuming West Indies don't make it. It's 45 days long. We'll go on holiday, man. We'll be relaxing on the beach, We don't have to stress ourselves out with West Indies for 45 days. So it'll be like the end of Shawshank Redemption when the man achieves freedom. We'll just be there celebrating our freedom. But no, I mean, as Mash said, I desperately hope West Indies make the World Cup, and I hope we can watch them during the ODI World Cup in October in India. But if they don't make it, then CCP will still live on, and we'll just use that time to clear our heads and relax and wait for the next drama to happen in West Indies cricket.
I'm going to support someone else, man. You're going to see a different team's shirt behind me, man. I'm moving clubs, man. I'm going out on loan for that World Cup. changing the title of the podcast and everything. I've had enough, Santoki. But listen, everyone who came in on the live, thank you so much. I think the high for the live was 249 at one point. Please, before you go, do press that like button. Do share. Do tell everybody who doesn't know yet about the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Oh, and final thing, I have just received in the last 30 minutes or so the full episode that we did with Dr. Kishore Shallow, president of Cricket West Indies, and actually how apt that we're ready to drop that episode after a cuss out has begun. So look out for that dropping tomorrow, people. I'm gonna upload that tomorrow. So look out for that live face-to-face recording that we did with Dr. Kishore Shallow. That will be on our YouTube channel. So do keep an eye out for that, and hopefully you enjoy it. It's about 55 minutes long, based on what I've seen on the edit. Frost and Nixon out here. You'll enjoy it, people. So look out for that tomorrow. But thank you as ever for coming on the live, people. Next game is Monday against the Netherlands. We'll run a live one after that one as well. Hopefully we've won the game to give us a bit of light going into the Super 6 stages. But that's all from us for now. Thank you as ever for joining us on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Thank you and good night.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rules seem coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.